Most people think credit cards are a tool for financial freedom. They let you buy what you want now and pay later. They offer cashback, rewards and travel perks that seem too good to ignore. But what if I told you that credit cards are designed to keep you in debt? What if I told you that the very banks that offer them profit the most when you're struggling financially? This is not just an opinion. This is how the system is built. And the more you understand how banks make money from credit cards, the better you'll be at avoiding their traps. Let's start with a simple fact. The credit card industry is worth over $200 billion per year. That's how much banks and financial institutions make from people swiping their cards. But how do they do it? It all comes down to three major revenue streams. 1. Interest payments, the never rate, around 20%. That means at first she paid her balance in full interest. That's money that went straight into the banks. You don't pay it off in full. Instead, you just make the minimum payment. Most people think this means they're staying responsible. But what really happens? The bank charges you interest. And not just any interest. Credit card interest rates are some of the highest in the financial industry. The average interest rate? Around 20%. That means if you only pay the minimum, you could end up paying back double or even triple what you originally borrowed. This is how people get stuck in debt cycles that last years, because every month they think they're making progress, but in reality, they're just paying interest, not the actual debt. Here's a real-life example. Meet Sarah. Sarah got her first credit card in college and used it for small expenses. Groceries, gas, and a few nights out. At first, she paid her balance in full. But then, life happened. She had an emergency and put a $3,000 charge on her card. The minimum payment was only $60 a month. It sounded affordable. But what she didn't realize was that at 20% interest, her debt was growing faster than she could pay it off. She kept making minimum payments, but 5 years later, she was still in debt. And she had paid over $2,500 just in interest. That's money that went straight into the bank's pocket. Sarah's story is not unique. Banks count on this. They want you to think that minimum payments are helping you. But in reality, they're designed to keep you in debt for as long as possible. 2 fees, the hidden costs you don't see. The second, banks design the system to be confusing. And that's exactly what banks want. They make their money when you get hit with a $35 fee. Annual fees, some credit cards charge you $95 or more just to use the card. Balance transfer fees. If you move your debt to a different card, banks take a cut. Foreign transaction fees. If you use your card overseas, they charge you extra. These fees add up fast, and most people don't even realize they're paying them. Banks design the system to be confusing. They hide fees in fine print and make it hard to track what you're actually paying. Let's take another real example. Meet James. James had 3 credit cards. One of them had an annual fee of $125. He forgot about it. The charge hit his account and he didn't pay it on time. That triggered a late payment fee. And because he missed the payment, his interest rate went up. One small mistake cost him hundreds of dollars, and that's exactly what banks want. They make their money when you don't pay attention. Credit card companies love to advertise rewards. You don't feel the pain of spending, so she can't pay the full balance. So she spend more, earn more. It sounds amazing. But here's the ugly truth. Banks offer these rewards because they know it makes you spend more. Studies show that people who use credit cards spend 12 to 18% more than people who use cash. Why? Because when you use a card, it doesn't feel like real money. You don't feel the pain of spending, so you swipe more. You buy things you don't really need. And even though you're getting cash back or points, you're actually spending more than you should. Let's take another example. Meet Olivia. Olivia loves credit card rewards. She uses her card for everything because she wants to rack up travel points. But here's the problem. She's overspending. She's paying for restaurants, clothes and online shopping just to hit reward milestones. And when her statement comes in, she can't pay the full balance. So she pays interest. And guess what? That interest costs way more than the rewards she's earning. Olivia thinks she's beating the system, but in reality the system is beating her. Because the banks already know that rewards make people spend more, that's why they offer them. Now here's the question. If credit cards are so dangerous, should you even use them at all? The answer: it depends on how you use them. Next, we're going to break down exactly how to use credit cards without falling into debt, how to play the system the right way, and the best strategies to protect yourself. If you're still here, subscribe and turn on the notification bell, because the next part, it could save you thousands of dollars. We've seen how banks make billions from credit card interest. The key is knowing how to beat the banks. Let's take two different people. Mike's discipline. Use credit cards to ratio the amount of credit you use compared to your credit times a month if necessary. Ask for a credit limit increase. They encourage impulse buying, which can destroy your finances. But used the right way, they can actually help you build wealth, improve your credit score, and even make you money. The key is knowing how to beat the banks at their own game. Let's start with the biggest rule of all. Always pay your balance in full. This is the golden rule of credit cards. If you carry a balance, you're giving free money to the banks. They love it when you make minimum payments because it keeps you locked in debt for years. But if you pay your balance in full every month, something amazing happens. You get all the benefits of a credit card without the debt. No interest, no stress, no financial trap. Let's take two different people, Mike and Anna. Mike uses his credit card carelessly. He spends more than he can afford, only pays the minimum each month, and after a few years, he's drowning in debt. Anna, on the other hand, treats her credit card like a debit card. She never spends more than she can pay off in full each month. As a result, she gets all the perks, cashback, travel rewards, and a great credit score without ever paying interest. The difference? Discipline. Use credit cards to build your credit score. Your credit score is one of the most powerful financial tools you have. A high credit score means lower interest rates on loans, better mortgage offers, easier approval for renting apartments, and more negotiating power in financial deals. But here's the crazy thing. Banks use credit cards as a trap to lower your score. How? By encouraging you to max out your credit card. Here's what they don't tell you. Your credit utilization ratio, the amount of credit you use compared to your credit limit, makes up 30% of your credit score. If you have a $5,000 limit and you spend $4,500, your score will drop, even if you pay your bill on time. Banks know this. They want you to overspend so your credit score stays low, making it harder for you to qualify for better financial opportunities. So, how do you play the game the right way? Keep your credit utilization below 30%. Pay off your balance multiple times a month if necessary. Ask for a credit limit increase, but don't use the extra credit. This way your score goes up, not down. Avoid store credit cards, the biggest trap of all. You've probably seen it before. You're at the checkout and the cashier says, "Would you like to save 20% today by signing up for our store credit card?" It sounds tempting, right? But this is one of the worst financial traps you can fall into. Here's why. Store credit cards have insanely high interest rates, often over 25%. They encourage impulse buying, which leads to overspending. They hurt your credit score if you don't use. Retailers love these cards because they make billions of people into spending more. But what if you could $1 a year? Free money. But the second you spend of your credit score, if you cancel your oldest them to trap people in debt, because what's coming next? It could change the way. They want you to believe that without credit, offers you a store credit card, say no. The right way to use rewards cards. We talked earlier about how credit card rewards trick people into spending more. But what if you could use those rewards to your advantage without falling into the trap? Here's how. Only use your credit card for things you were already going to buy. Never carry a balance just to earn points. It's not worth it. Use cashback rewards instead of travel rewards if you don't fly often. For example, if you spend $1,000 a month on regular expenses and your card gives you 2% cashback, that's $240 a year, free money. But the second you start spending extra just to earn points, you lose. Because the bank wants you to chase rewards, so you spend more than you should. Smart people use credit card rewards, but they never let rewards use them. Know when to cancel a credit card and when to keep it open. Here's a question I get all the time. Should I cancel my old credit cards? It depends. Most people don't realize this, but the length of your credit history makes up 15% of your credit score. If you cancel your oldest credit card, your credit history shrinks and your score can drop. So if your card has no annual fee, keep it open, even if you don't use it. But if you have a card with a high annual fee that you don't use, then cancelling might be the right move. The key is knowing which cards to keep and which to cut. Final thoughts on credit cards and the system. At the end of the day, credit cards are not evil, but the way banks use them to trap people in debt is. They make money when you make mistakes. They profit when you miss payments. They win when you don't pay attention. But now, you know the truth. And once you understand how the game is played, you can play to win. Next, we'll talk about how banks manipulate people into staying in debt for life, and how you can break free once and for all. If you've made it this far, subscribe and turn on the notification bell. Because what's coming next? It could change the way you see money forever. Let's continue. We've uncovered how banks make billions off credit card interest, hidden fees, and psychological tricks that push people deeper into debt. Now, let's talk about something even more concerning. How the entire financial system is designed to keep you in debt for life. Because banks don't just want you to use credit cards, they want you to rely on them. They want you to think debt is normal. They want you to believe that without credit, you can't live a successful life. And this mindset keeps millions of people trapped for decades. The debt cycle. Why banks never want. Maybe you get tempted by a big purchase, because as long as you owe them money, they will keep A good credit score is built on responsibility, because if everyone had a great credit score and no debt, this card comes with 0% APR for the first year. It sounds amazing, so you sign up. At first you're responsible, you pay your bill on time, but then something happens. Maybe you have an unexpected expense, maybe you lose your job, maybe you get tempted by a big purchase, and suddenly you're carrying a balance. It starts small, $500, maybe $1,000. At first you think, it's fine, I'll pay it off next month. But you don't. And before you know it, you're stuck making monthly payments. The bank increases your credit limit. You take out a car loan, then you finance a new phone. You justify it by saying, this is how life works. And now you're in the debt cycle. This is exactly where banks want you. Because as long as you owe them money, they will keep making money off you. And here's the worst part. Most people never get out. They just accept that debt is a part of life. And that's what keeps them stuck. Why banks encourage debt, the credit score trap. One of the biggest financial myths people believe is that you need to stay in debt to have a good credit score. Banks love this myth because it makes people feel like they must keep using credit cards and loans. But here's the truth. A good credit score is built on responsibility, not debt. Yet banks design the system to make you think that the more debt you have, the better. You need multiple credit cards to increase your score. Carrying a balance is good for your credit history. None of this is true. The best credit scores belong to people who use credit responsibly but never let debt control them. Pay balances in full every month, keep credit utilization low, but that's not what banks want you to believe, because if everyone had a great credit score and no debt, banks would lose billions. That's why they encourage people to stay in debt. Because as long as you think you need to carry a balance, they keep getting rich. Credit cards have been around for decades, but now you make the first payment, you don't even hesitate. That's why Klarna, Afterpay and Affirm promise easy payments with no interest. They tell you, split your purchase into 4 easy payments. No credit check required. Shop now, pay later. It sounds like free money, but in reality it's just another way to push you deeper into debt. Because here's what happens. You buy something you can't afford. You make the first payment and forget about the rest. Before you know it, you've signed up for multiple buy now, pay later plans. And now, you have a pile of bills hitting your bank account every month. You've fallen into the trap without even realizing it. Companies know this works because it removes the emotional pain of spending. If you had to pay $500 up front for something, you might think twice. But if it's just $125 today, you don't even hesitate. That's why buy now, pay later is growing faster than credit cards. It's a psychological trick to get you to spend more without feeling like you're in debt. And the worst part, it's not even regulated like credit cards, meaning there are fewer consumer protections, more hidden fees and higher risks. So the next time you see a buy now, pay later offer, think twice, because it's just another way banks and corporations keep you trapped. Debt isn't just a financial problem, it's an emotional. The good news, you don't have to stay in this cycle there and stuck, because when you're in debt, you're not in control. Your paycheck comes in and it's already gone. You work not to build your future, but to pay off your past. And that's exactly what banks want, because as long as you're paying them, you can't focus on building real wealth, you can't invest, you can't save, you can't move forward, and that's what keeps the system running. But here's the good news, you don't have to stay in this cycle. There is a way out. Finally, we're going to break down exactly how to escape credit card debt for good. The best debt payoff strategies, how to break free from the system, and how to start building wealth instead of paying banks. If you've made it this far, subscribe and turn on the notification bell, because what comes next? It could change your financial future forever. Let's continue. We've exposed how banks trap people in debt, how they profit. Debt is they keep using their credit cards. This is how people make real progress. Until you're debt-free. Eat until you're debt-free. Why does this work? Because extra money, cut unnecessary subscriptions. Your focus from spending to paying off debt, you'll be surprised to pay off over 30 years. Use a debit card or cash for daily expenses. Normal, you'll stay in it. If you see debt as a debt is they keep using their credit cards. They think, I'll just use it for emergencies, or I'll only spend on small things. But here's the reality. If you're serious about getting out of debt, you have to stop digging. This means stop using credit cards completely while paying them off. Delete stored card information from online shopping accounts. Unsubscribe from marketing emails that tempt you to spend. When you remove the temptation, you make it easier to focus on getting rid of your debt. This is how people make real progress. Not by wishing they had less debt, but by changing their spending habits. Now that you've stopped adding to the fire, it's time to put it out completely. There are two main ways to pay off debt. The snowball method, build momentum. List all your debts from smallest to largest. Pay the minimum on everything, but put extra money toward the smallest debt first. Once the smallest debt is paid off, take that money and apply it to the next one. Repeat until you're debt-free. Why does this work? Because it gives you quick wins. Each time you pay off a debt, you get motivated to keep going, and that motivation keeps you moving forward. The avalanche method, pay less interest. List all your debts from highest interest rate to lowest, pay the minimum on everything, but put extra money toward the highest interest debt first. Once it's paid off, move to the next highest interest debt. Repeat until you're debt-free. Why does this work? Because it saves you the most money. You're attacking the most expensive debt first, meaning you'll pay less in interest over time. Which method is better? It depends. If you need motivation, the snowball method is best. If you want to save money, the avalanche method is better. But either one is better than doing nothing. Most people say, I don't have enough money to pay off my debt faster. But in reality, they do. They just haven't looked closely at their spending. Here are a few ways to free up extra money. Cut unnecessary subscriptions. Most people are paying for services they don't even use. Lower your food expenses. Cook at home instead of eating out. Pause unnecessary shopping. No new clothes, gadgets, or luxury spending until the debt is gone. Sell things you don't use. Old electronics, furniture, or clothes can bring in quick cash. Find a small side hustle. Even an extra $100 a month can speed up your debt payoff. When you shift your focus from spending to paying off debt, you'll be surprised at how much extra money you actually have. And every extra dollar gets you closer to financial freedom. Credit card companies love it when you pay the minimum, because it keeps you in debt longer. Let's take a real example. Imagine that you have $5,000 in credit card debt with an 18% interest rate. The minimum payment is $100 a month. If you only pay the minimum, do you know how long it will take to pay off? Over 30 years. And do you know how much you'll pay in total? More than $15,000. That's $10,000 in interest alone. But if you increase your payment to $250 a month, you'd be debt-free in just 2 years. That's why paying the minimum is a trap. The faster you pay off debt, the less you give to the banks. Getting out of debt is only half the battle. Staying out of debt is the real challenge. Here's how you do it. Use a debit card or cash for daily expenses. Only use credit cards if you can pay them off in full every month. Build an emergency fund so you never have to rely on credit for surprises. Invest in yourself. Start saving and growing your money instead of giving it to the banks. And most importantly, change the way you see money. Because the truth is, debt isn't just about numbers, it's about how you think about money. If you see debt as normal, you'll stay in it. If you see debt as a trap, you'll avoid it. That's the real secret. Banks and financial institutions profit off, and never let banks control your financial future in debt. They win when you live paycheck to paycheck, but now you know how the game works. You know how banks trap people with credit cards. You know how to pay off debt faster. You know how to break free from the cycle forever. And the best part, you can take action today. So here's what I want you to do. Choose a debt payoff strategy. Cut out unnecessary spending. Find ways to free up extra money. And never let banks control your financial future again. If you found this valuable, subscribe and turn on the notification bell. Because in this channel, we expose financial traps and teach you how to build wealth the right way. Drop a comment below. What's your biggest struggle with credit cards? Let's talk about it. See you in the next video.